Ahead on our news tonight, why the director of the National Infectious Diseases Program says there is no need to panic over monkeypox. Plus, a crackdown on gun trafficking announced in a regional meeting of police chiefs this morning. And later, a live connect, how the telecoms provider is driving accessibility and opportunities for members of the disabled community. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Kendino Knowles. Prime Minister Philip Davis promising a crackdown on gun trafficking at a regional meeting of police chiefs this morning. The Prime Minister says a major part of the problem is guns being smuggled into the country from the United States. Jasmine Brown reports in our top story tonight that the Prime Minister has sounded the alarm with top U.S. officials.
The Prime Minister made his views on the matter crystal clear here on the sidelines of a regional police commissioners conference as he says combating gun trafficking is a key priority of his administration.
The right to bear arms in the United States does not also mean the right to traffic in those arms to the Caribbean countries. And I said that to the highest level. And hopefully our voice on this issue will continue to be heard and acted upon.
According to Prime Minister Davis, more than 90% of guns confiscated in the Bahamas can be traced back to American manufacturers and gun shops. The PM also telling the room full of high-ranking law enforcement officers that investigations have revealed a frightening trend. He highlighted the case of one Bahamian with U.S. ties who bought more than 24 guns in the U.S.
One Bahamian, for example, with American status, being able to buy 40 weapons in 2 or 3 gun shops over a period of 1 month, and within 10 days, one of those weapons have been found to be used here in the Bahamas. And it's only after, through the efforts of our police officers, they're able to determine that that one person bought those 40 guns within those period of time.
The PM also insisting he has made his strong views on the matter well known to U.S. officials up to the White House. He says they have listened and promised to assist with a crackdown.
My plan is to continue to agitate for them to do something. They have indicated that they will look into doing some things, and until they do those things, I'll continue to agitate for them to do something. What I can say is that one step they've taken is to post an alcohol and tobacco and ATF personnel and alcohol, tobacco, and firearms individual to the embassy, and they're attached to the embassy now. That's a step in the right direction. And they also appointed another individual from the Homeland Security, specifically for the purposes of assisting us in identifying, tracing these arms.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Police Commissioner Paul Roll announcing his retirement date to date. We'll tell you just when that is in a moment. But first, Commissioner Roll giving an update on the investigations into 3 high-profile incidents. The first is the ongoing investigation at the Water and Sewerage Corporation.
We are conducting investigations into water and sewerage as to how funds were used or expended. And that's about as much as I can say. I don't propose to be discussing these investigations in the media. It's not proper. At the end of the day, if there is a court proceedings, I don't want to be quoted other than to say we are conducting an investigation.
Also asked about an investigation into allegations that Transport and Housing Minister JoBeth Colby Davis hit a police officer with her car at a carnival event just over a week ago. Commissioner Roll says a probe into the matter continues.
I have one of the assistant commissioners conducting an investigation to find out exactly what happened, and that's the matter under this active investigation.
And when it comes to the ongoing probe into the deaths of the 3 Americans who were found dead in villas at Sandals Emerald Bay Resort on Exuma earlier this month, the commissioner says they are still awaiting the pathologist's report. The Nassau Guardian reporting last week the American visitors died from carbon monoxide poisoning.
I promise you that when I get it, I will provide it, but I do not dictate to the the coroner, nor do I dictate to the pathologist. We work in partnership, and they have their things to do. I've done my part to help get some of the samples analyzed and forward to them so they can do their work. Remember, they had suggested a turnaround time of about 2 weeks after receiving them. This is just a week and a couple of days. But what has created the euphoria is that, every day people are calling and asking for update and not giving them time to do their work.
Investigators are tonight probing the alleged sexual assault of an Italian woman on Grand Bahama Sunday. Police say they were alerted to the incident shortly before 2 a.m. We are being told that initial investigations revealed 2 armed men robbed the woman of $520 at a residence in South Bahamia before having sex with her against her will. Police say investigations are continuing. Meanwhile, an attempted armed robbery on that island around midnight Sunday is also under active investigation. Police say a woman went to the Rand Memorial Hospital after she says she was in her car at the entrance to her home with a friend when she was attacked in the face. To read more about this, visit Our News Bahamas on Facebook. And Police Commissioner Paul Roll is set to demit office in just over a month. The top cop today advising he will retire from the force on July 5th. Jasmine Brown reports.
After nearly 40 years of service and just over 2 years after being appointed the country's top cop, the police commissioner says he will say goodbye to the Royal Bahamas Police Force.
Having discussed the matter, we have agreed, along with the Prime Minister, that I will demit office on the 5th of July. We serve, and I don't like when you get to the end of your tenure, people are making mischief. And I've said to the senior officers when I met with them, we all serve. We serve our country, and I serve, and I am at my pinnacle. I'm actually over time now because I have like 58 weeks vacation. My anniversary was last week. I wanted to leave in April, but because of this, I'm still here.
He made the announcement to the press on the sidelines of the 36th Annual General Meeting and Conference of Caribbean Commissioners of Police, calling it a part of his farewell tour. Roll was appointed as Commissioner of Police on March 30, 2020, during a national emergency when the country was under a 24-hour curfew due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Roll began his tenure with the RBPF in May 1983. When asked if he was being forced out, the commissioner had this to say.
But forced by who?
By the political director?
No, nobody can force the commissioner out. I said, when you all asked me in December that I will leave when I'm ready. And, the persons were making mischief. I know when I joined the police force, and I know when it's time to leave.
Roll says he is proud of the work he has done.
I challenge you, go on any of the islands in the Bahamas right now, and what you see going on, tell me if you see something different. Look in Nassau, look in Grand Bahama, New Providence that is. And I think some of the initiative that we have done, and I am pleased with the performance of these officers. And of course, you all can judge me on my performance, whether you think I pass or fail. But I'm looking forward to making this transition, and I think I've done my best and given my best in service.
Roll is the 8th commissioner in an independent Bahamas. He says in due time the Prime Minister will announce who his replacement will be. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Thanks, Jasmine. And as the police commissioner gets ready to demit office, nearly 60 new recruits are joining the ranks of the Royal Bahamas Police Force after a passing out ceremony on Friday. To learn more, Christina Dragovich has a full report now live at Our News Bahamas on Facebook. Well, it's now time for your first look at temperatures, and meteorologist Greg Thompson is standing by in the Weather Center. Greg?
Thanks and good evening, everybody. Welcome to our first look at weather. We have some very moist conditions outside our studios, but comfortable temperatures in the upper 70s with intermittent clouds. We had a couple isolated showers earlier. We could see 1 or 2 more of those tonight. Southeast winds at 10 miles per hour, that's bringing in that warm tropical air mass, and your feels-like temperature at 83 degrees. Satellite view, lots of moisture across the Bahamas, all of that emanating out of the Western Caribbean and streaming across Cuba and across our area. Showers and thunderstorms to the west of Andres. Weakened earlier, we had quite a bit of activity up near the Grand Bahama area, some severe thunderstorm warnings issued earlier, and we will continue to see that wet weather pattern continuing tonight through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
All right, thanks a lot, Greg. Still to come on our news, the National Infectious Diseases Program Director says no major risk of monkeypox at this time. The Prime Minister on the defense over a $4.1 million jump in the travel budget this fiscal year, plus how Alive Connect is impacting lives in the disabled community. That's coming up when our news returns.
Get that glorious internet connection back in business within seconds with the new self-help modem reset. Just follow these very easy steps. Step 1, call 601-2200 or 242-300-2200. Number 2, select option 3. Step 3, select option 2. Step 4, enter your 8-digit account number. Step 5, follow the prompts. It's really that simple. Rev, you and us together.
Director of the National HIV, AIDS and Infectious Diseases Program, Dr. Nakia Forbes, says residents are not at major risk of monkeypox at this time. The Ministry of Health and Wellness issuing a statement noting one person is currently being monitored for the disease. Officials saying the individual, a man in his mid-30s who arrived in country last weekend, has a history of travel and has been placed in isolation. Despite this, Dr. Forbes says there is no need to panic.
There are about 10 cases in the United States, and that is spread across several states, but it is being monitored extremely closely, and it is definitely something that is containable at this time, although things can change. And so it's not a very big risk to the general population right now. The risk to the general population remains low at this time.
The World Health Organization is reporting 200 confirmed cases of monkeypox worldwide. Dr. Forbes explaining some of the symptoms may last for 2 to 4 weeks.
Yes, so people who have monkeypox, they will have a skin rash, and they will have a fever usually before the skin rash develops. And the fever can be anywhere within 1 to 3 days of developing the skin rash. And the skin rash, it can start with a small itchy rash. We call that maculopapula. But then it's going to progress into something called vesicles, and what that is it's a rash and inside the skin lesions it's fluid filled at first.
Government's travel budget will jump by $4.1 million in the upcoming fiscal year, and Prime Minister Philip Davis is defending the increase.
We don't know what travels we'll have in the coming year, and until we understand it is an allocation, it doesn't mean that it'll be used.
Travel increases have been budgeted in nearly every ministry and department. In total, the government has budgeted $14.8 million on travel and subsistence in the upcoming fiscal year. That's compared to the $10.6 million that was budgeted for the current fiscal year, which ends June 30th.
It is there to cover unforeseen travels that may come up. There are certain travels that has to be made by ministers that's related to their specific portfolios. There are certain travels that I have to make as it relates to me as leader of the country. There are leaders summit throughout the year that I have to attend, and so that allocation is for is to ensure that it's covered.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
All right, when our news comes back from the break, growing deforestation in Carmichael has the Bahamas National Trust chief sounding the alarm.
Plus, coming up in sports tonight, one of UB Mingo's top athletes now in the runnings to qualify for the World Championships in the heptathlon. We'll tell you more about that. Also, the NBA Finals are set. We'll tell you the two protagonists coming up in sports.
And later, how Alive is driving access in the disabled community. We have the details when our news returns.
Get that glorious internet connection back in business within seconds with the new self-help modem reset. Just follow these very easy steps. Step 1, call 601-2200 or 242-300-2200. Number 2, select option 3. Step 3, select option 2. Step 4, enter your 8-digit account number. Step 5, follow the prompts. It's really that simple. Rev, you and us together.
This is our news. Welcome back. Bahamas National Trust Executive Director Eric Carey is weighing in on what seems to be the worsening issue of deforestation in the Carmichael area, saying it has been a complex issue for quite some time. However, Carey says it's been exacerbated even more in recent months.
I know that the government has discussed this at the very highest level, but it's a complex issue, and there are a lot of government agencies involved. You know, there are illegal roads happening, so that's Ministry of Works, Physical Planning, Department of Forestry. You know, people say, well, why aren't these forest reserves? Well, they've been recommended to be forest reserves, but I don't think they've actually been declared by law. So because of how long that process has taken, there really isn't a legal arm for the Department of Forestry to act on.
All right, to learn more about this, our Berthany McDermott has a full report now live at Our News Bahamas on Facebook. Well, a UB Mingos athlete looks to qualify for the World Championships. Meanwhile, the NBA Finals are all set. Marcellus Hall is up now with sports.
Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Here it is. The UB Mingos track and field program has been doing extremely well over the last few years. In fact, they have one of the tops in the decathlon just around the corner. His name is Ken Mullings, and he competed this past weekend looking to qualify for the World Championships. Let's take a look and see how he did. UB Mingo and decathlon national record holder Kendrick Thompson won every event on day one of the Jacksonville Combined Event Qualifiers on Sunday in Jacksonville, Florida. He leads the decathlon going into day two with 4,193 points, which is 39 points ahead of his national record pace. Thompson won the 100 in 10.6 seconds. For 906 decathlon points, he then won the long jump with a personal record jump of 7.47 meters. That's right around 26 feet 6 inches and 927 points. In the shot put, he outclassed a few with a best throw of 13.6 meters or 44 feet 7.5. For another 704 points, he then won the high jump, clearing 1.99 meters, which is 6 feet 6 1/4, for 794 points. Closed out the day in the 400 meters with a run of 48.99 seconds for 862 points there. Thompson attempting to qualify for the IAAF World Outdoor Championships in Eugene, Oregon. They come your way this July, and to qualify, Thompson has to hit the qualifying standard of 8,350 points to be an automatic qualifier, or at least be in the top 24 in the world by virtue of IAAF points, the IAAF ranking systems. Complex calculations, and hoping so far that he's going to break that record. We'll see how it goes and see exactly how it turns out. The meet concludes today. Meanwhile, to the NBA, we had Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals taking place last night. Boston Celtics taking on the Miami Heat. Winner take all. The Golden State Warriors, they would advance to the NBA Finals if they could get it done. Celtics jump out early, but never say die. Miami Heat kept fighting back. Jimmy Butler doing his part, but at the end of the day, it would be Boston just holding on. They get the victory. 100-96 ends up being the final score. NBA Finals are now set. The two teams are the Golden State Warriors and, of course, the Boston Celtics. By virtue of that win last night, they will begin the championships on Thursday. And that is your look at sports here on this Monday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
Still to come on Our News, Greg is back with your extended weather forecast and what you need to know about a system out in the Pacific. Plus, a live connect, how the telecoms provider is driving access in the disabled community. That's coming up when Our News returns.
Get that glorious internet connection back in business within seconds with the new self-help modem reset. Just follow these very easy steps. Step 1, call 601-2200 or 242-300-2200. Number 2, select option 3. Step 3, select option 2. Step 4, enter your 8-digit account number. Step 5, follow the prompts. It's really that simple. Rev, you and us together.
Welcome back to our news. It's time now for your extended weather forecast, and we are now watching Agatha, a system in the eastern Pacific with the potential to move over the Gulf of Mexico and could possibly pose some problems for us here at home. Greg is back in the Weather Center with a look at conditions and how this is affecting us. Greg?
And welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather. The tropics getting a little active out there, really in the eastern Pacific. Of course, June 1st, which is on Wednesday, starts the official Atlantic hurricane season, and we are watching an area for some potential development. We are still seeing Agatha hurricane weakening to a tropical storm later on this evening tonight. It's expected to cross Mexico as it interacts with the landmass over there, and by early part of the week, we expect what's left of this system to move into the southwestern Gulf of Mexico, and there has the potential for some formation over the next couple of days. So we're asking everybody to continue to monitor this. Likely formation somewhere just around the Yucatan Peninsula by the end of the week, and of course, a lot of moisture will be streaming across areas, so those activities for the weekend look like they're going to be a little questionable because we're going to still have some moisture across us. Showers and thunderstorms will be in the forecast, and we will continue to keep you abreast of that. Development later on this week, as I mentioned, warm water in the Gulf of Mexico, the southwestern Caribbean. Not really much wind shear, some lesser wind shear across that area. And of course, the moisture from Agatha, as I mentioned, will be moving into our area, so we're looking at a very wet pattern for the week and into the weekend as that moisture stream continues to cross our area. Boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Your high tide will be at 8:55 tonight. For the southeast Bahamas, caution flag for you guys down there. East to southeast winds 15 to 20 knots. Your seas will be running 4 to 6 feet over the open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your 7-day forecast, as I mentioned, a lot of moisture will be with us for the week. We might get some patchy clouds and some breaks from the showers and thunderstorms on Thursday, but the weekend is looking very wet. And of course, you do have some activities, so keep abreast of how things will be shaping up. That's a look at our weather. Back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Greg. Well, Alive is helping members of the Bahamas' Special Olympics team get into gear for the upcoming international competition in Orlando, Florida. With the launch of Alive Connect last week, Alive gave a monetary donation to the Bahamas Special Olympics team, along with technology tools, including MiFi devices, laptops, and tablets to meet the organization's immediate needs. Alive Connect is driving accessibility and opportunities for members of the disabled community and is also conducting an audit of all of its retail locations to make them more accessible. To find out more at My Alive on Facebook. Thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Candino Knowles. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. And until then, have a wonderful evening.